G'day everyone. In this video, we're gonna dive, excuse the pun, into what could well be the single most important thing to consider when planning a long distance overland journey of any kind. We're gonna talk about water. Today, I'll cover a few topics about the importance of ensuring you have access to clean, safe drinking water on an overland journey. Now, I don't think I need to spend a lot of time talking about the importance of safe, clean drinking water. If you've ever drank bad water, then probably you can speak from experience. Belly aches and cramps, maybe a couple of days with your bum glued to the toilet seat. Drinking dirty or polluted water can most definitely be fatal in the most extreme cases. In fact, our four-wheel camper comes with a warning label stating exactly that at the water fill-up point. Ensuring the availability of safe, clean drinking water should be top priority in the planning stages of any journey. So how much water do you really need? This is something that will be completely unique to each individual's requirements, your setup, and also your storage space. I'll tell you guys how much water we carry and also our average usage. Hopefully that can help you in deciding how much water storage capacity you really require. Our four-wheel camper comes standard with an 80-litre water tank. We installed an additional 50-litre potable water tank in a void space under the rear seats in our Defender. We also have a 20-litre jerry can for water, which also doubles as a water filter. More on that later. This gives us a maximum water capacity of 150 litres. Our average water consumption is between 5 and 10 litres per day for 2 people. That's drinking water, showers, and washing up. Comfortably will last 2 weeks between fill-ups, and we could stretch that out to 3 weeks if we ration. How do we find water to fill our tanks on an international overland trip? I'll start out by mentioning that we have only ever paid for water once on this 4-year overland journey. This is a moment we are not very proud of right at the beginning of our trip. Our initial idea was that we would only ever put known safe drinking water into our main tanks. Before leaving Spain for Morocco, we bought an excessive amount of large plastic water containers from the supermarket. Now, I'm definitely not preaching here, and we are far from perfect. I can tell you, after filling our water tanks and being left with that excessive amount of plastic wastage, we really felt like we'd done something wrong and unnecessary. We have never again filled our tanks using that method. Since that day, we have filled our water tanks using countless different sources. We've now driven across 35 countries in our own vehicle, and we've never had an issue sourcing water. Using taps at service stations, natural springs, fountains, wells in the middle of the desert, rivers, taps at hardware stores, and even at 7-Eleven convenience stores here in Japan. Now, I've spoken about using the internet to assist you on journeys such as ours before, and the app iOverlander, although we don't use it very often to find our campsites, for water sourcing points, it's a great tool. I will just quickly mention that if you do come across a potential water fill-up point and it's a tap, and it's obvious that it does belong to someone, please do ask permission before you fill up. When filling up from uncertain water sources, we try to follow a general rule. If the locals are using it, then we are also going to use it. In saying that, please bear in mind that just because the locals can drink it straight from the source, that doesn't mean that you can. They've been drinking this water all their lives, and their guts are most probably a lot tougher than what yours are. As our good mate Saeed told us in Morocco when he stopped to drink from a stream in the mountains, "This water is okay for me, but not for you." I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I didn't fancy a crook guts at the beginning of a remote rock climbing trip. Any Aussies out there that have traveled to Bali and picked up the dreaded Bali belly will know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's from the tap water. Now, I'm not saying this water is bad water, it just has bacteria in it that your body is not resistant to, but the locals are. How do we ensure that we are drinking only safe, clean, clear water? I mentioned earlier that we do fill our main tanks from any sources available. This water is not for drinking and is used only for showers and washing up. All of the water that we drink is filtered and sterilized through our Lifesaver jerry can. The Lifesaver jerry can instantly removes viruses, bacteria, parasites, and cysts. One filter is good for 20,000 litres of water. Yes, it is a little bulky and it takes up space, but it does give you an extra 20 litres of water storage capacity, so we think it's worth it. I like it because it's so simple. It doesn't require electricity, it's got minimal moving parts. It also doesn't require being fed by an electric pump. You simply pump by hand, creating pressure inside the jerry can. Open the valve, the water is forced through the filter and out comes crystal clear drinking water. We have two backup devices that we also use for hiking trips. The first is an ultraviolet light sterilizer called a Steripen. We've had this Steripen for years and it's very reliable and tough. Downside is it does require batteries.
The Steripen, no batteries.
Don't do what we did and forget the spare batteries and then have it run out whilst hiking in remote Afghanistan. Second device is a recently purchased Grail water filter. This Grail water filter operates similar to the jerry can, using pressure to force dirty water through the filter. You might recall us using this Grail water filter on Rishiri Island in northern Japan after melting dirty snow.
That's pretty bloody clear.
We're very happy with the Grail filter and it does filter out all the same nasties that the jerry can does. Okay, I want to talk again about our two main water tanks. I mentioned already that we do fill these tanks from any water source and this water is not used for drinking. In saying that, it doesn't mean that we don't need to keep those tanks clean. We'll fill those two main tanks only with visibly clear water. If the water is discolored or has sediment or small particles, we will avoid using that water source if possible. We also regularly sterilize our main tanks using bleach. You can find the information online as to how much bleach is required per litre of water to sterilize and make safe a potable water tank.
Can't remember exactly, but you can work it out. Our tank's 80 litres and we're using 300 millilitres of straight bleach.
Leave the bleach water mix in your main tank for about 12 hours, dump this water, then flush with fresh water several times. I will point out that bleach can also be used to make water safe to drink. Now, we've never done this and we don't really want to, but in an emergency or case of water filter failure, it is possible. Again, check online for the safe ratio. Obviously, it's going to be a lot less than your tank sterilization ratio, and I do recommend this only as a last resort. I'm aware of other methods of water tank purification, like the small chlorine type tablets that you can throw in your water tank. I'm sure they do work very well, but are you going to find them in the middle of nowhere at the local general store? Probably not, but they'll more than likely have some bleach. I wanted to mention also that we use a dedicated 10-litre plastic water container to fill our main tanks. Yes, it does take a few trips back and forth to the water source, but it's simple and easy. We've never felt the need to carry a hose to fill our tanks. The majority of our fill-up points have been from natural springs over the years, where a hose would be useless anyway. What I'd like to do now is call on the wealth of knowledge that may be watching this video. For a very long time now, I've been researching and considering installing an under-sink inline water filter. I do know there are some high quality reliable units around. From the research I've done, an under sink or inline water filter that's capable of removing viruses, parasites, cysts and bacteria is usually a cartridge type water filter followed by an ultraviolet light type filter. I've always wondered why a system like the jerry can, the Lifesaver jerry can remove all of these bad items, these bad things from the water without the use of ultraviolet light. I can't seem to find an inline under sink cartridge only type filter that will remove bacteria, viruses, cysts and parasites, along with chlorine, pesticides and heavy metals, of course. An ultraviolet light system plus the cartridge system is an option, although I would like to avoid the ultraviolet light. I see the ultraviolet light system as something that could fail or break whilst on the road. From some of the feedback I've had and research I've done, I think those ultraviolet lamps can be quite delicate. If anyone out there does have any information or links to the ultimate water filtration system, please do leave a comment below. I'd be super happy to hear from you. Ideally, we'd plumb this system in under the sink and have that run to a dedicated drinking water only outlet. Like I mentioned before, I'd like to avoid the use of ultraviolet light, but still remove bacteria, cysts, viruses, and parasites. All right, that's definitely enough out of me for today. I think I've covered a lot of information, but I've no doubt missed a whole heap as well. So I would really appreciate it if you left a comment below with any advice from your own personal experience, links to cool products, etc. As always, a big thank you to our amazing patrons. If you would like to support the work we do in creating these videos, we have a Patreon account and we'd love to have you as part of the team. Thanks so very much and see you next time.